of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll ask the clerk to take the roll call.
Dale Ames,
Present.
Harold Jorgensen,
Present.
Barry Wagner, Robert Schiller,
Yep.
Jason Alders,
Here.
Kelly Carroll, here, Jeff Demon,
Present.
Kristen Moan, Liz Stockman. Here.
Also, this time, we're going to ask the clerk to read the policy. Reading policy.
The agenda as printed or amended will be followed, so all necessary and needed actions by the commission will be addressed. The agenda can be amended by proper motion. Business from the floor is welcome and is allotted for on our agenda. When comments from the floor are made, you must first be recognized by the chair. Second, state your name and address for the record. And third, you'll have no more than 3 minutes to state your comment or concern. Copies of the agenda and other handouts are available on the back table. Please sign in and please turn all cell phones off.
I think the first thing we'll do is have a moment of silence, remembering our, I believe he was a former Planning zoning member and also town council member, one of our first town council members, and his funeral is tomorrow, so we'll just have a moment of silence. Okay, the next thing we'll do is on our
Yeah,
agenda.
just for the record,
Yeah, go ahead.
his name.
Oh, Harlan Myers was his name. He was served, I think, 2 terms on the council, I believe.
He was 6 years on the council.
6
I
years.
don't know how many years he was on P and Z.
Because he was also on the planning and zoning. I remember, he did a lot in our community. He was really involved in the community up until just, I believe past year he moved down to Champlin out of Bern, or out of Nalvik. But he was really involved in our city. Okay, the first thing on the agenda is to approve or amend tonight's meeting agenda of June 25th, 2019. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Commissioner Pearl made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Alders seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The first thing we're going to do is open our first public hearing. And our first public hearing is a request by John Wigner, Winster Holding LLC, PIN number 21-33-25-33-0015 at 7900 Old Viking Boulevard for the following 2 applications. One's for rezoning map, change it from C1, commercial zoning, 1-1 to industrial zoning in compliance with section 1112 of the city code. Then also an interim use permit to allow outdoor storage in association with multiple builders, general contractor business on this plus or minus 6 acre property. It is in compliance with section 11-3-9.d.4 and section 1110 of the city code. So the first thing we're going to do with this is let our planner explain what's happening here.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, as I continue to try to get my PowerPoint up. Mr. Wagner's not present tonight. I asked him, or told him he didn't need to be. I mistakenly did not fail to notice the variance we had spoke of 8 weeks ago regarding that buffer zone on the east side of the property. So Mr. Wagner did submit a revised site plan and a revised front elevation drawing, which I will try to get up here. But so moral of the story is this will again be heard in July at the July Planning and Zoning meeting. So we can't make a decision tonight, but we must take comments if there are any. There will be another letter going out. Again, I will be covering that cost at no charge to the city because of the error. And I've apologized to Mr. Wagner. Luckily, he's not in a large hurry to break ground. So momentarily here, I'll have the site plan up. I don't know if I see anybody from the.
Mr. Chair, while we wait for her.
Yes, we're saying, one item we forgot.
Yes.
We forgot to approve the meeting minutes on April 23rd,
Okay.
2019. The clerk brought that to my attention, so somebody would like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Pastor Alders, Commissioner Alders made the motion. Does somebody second it?
I'll second it.
Commissioner
Schiller.
Schiller, oh, I'll get that name pretty soon. And seconded. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll go on. Is there anybody in the crowd that would like to make a comment to this? Somebody want to speak to this public hearing that we're talking about?
Well,
Come up to the mic and give your name.
well, Jeff was just telling me that, you know, because I live right across the road from the field. So I was just wanting to know what was going in there, who was going in there, you know, where the proposed buildings were gonna be, where the driveway was gonna be, and Jeff was just showing me.
Okay.
So that's what I was interested in.
Okay, you're satisfied with that then? Is there anybody else that wants to address this public hearing? This public hearing will be tabled until next month because we don't have all the information yet that we need to have to conduct this meeting.
Yeah, what we need is a landscape plan for the screening. There will be some type of screening along not only Old Viking, but the east and south, part of the south side. Well, the fence is, I guess, on the south side next to the existing commercial. But predominantly Old Viking side and the east side.
Again, I'm gonna ask, is there anybody who wants to bring up anything, any questions about this? If not, I'll introduce a motion to table this until next month.
Could I just mention one more thing and just get the,
Okay.
Actually, it's continued, Dale.
Or
Continue, right.
Continue?
Right.
Okay, continue.
So the plan as of now was to have the fence, like Mr. Perkins' fence, and then have that right on the lot line on the east and south sides, and then plant trees like maples or something with a dense canopy on the inside of the outdoor storage area, so that you have then the 6-foot fence screening and then additional screening above. And then he would have some, you know, showier type landscaping out front and along Nowland Boulevard, along the 2 streets. So if that sounds okay, let me know if you'd like to see anything different on that east side. That's kind of tentatively what he and I have talked about. But we can review the details when he submits the official landscape plan.
Okay, in other words, we're gonna continue this and we'll review this at our next meeting. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Does somebody have a second?
Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Wagner seconds. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So what we'll do now, we'll open the second public hearing. It's a request by Steve Madsen, 8480 Norris Lake Road, pin number 8-33-25-31-003, and also 08-33-25-32-0003 for the following four actions: for an intern use permit, to allow operation of extended home business per section 1143B of the city code for a septic system, and also an intern use permit to allow the operation of extended home business per section 11-4-3B of the city code for a garage doors business, and also a third use permit to allow the operation of extended home per section 11-4-3.B of the city code for a black dirt compost excavating business. And then also we're going to be revoking a conditional use permit that was issued December 14th, 1993. So at this time, we're going to ask our clerk now to see what she has.
City planner?
Or I mean, planner, sorry.
Thank you. I am having trouble getting this up on the screen, so I don't know what the deal is. I can see it on my screen, but I'm not. Do we have, oh, Dan, do you have any idea? Here's our techie guy here, our techie council member. FNFA. That's what you told me, right? This way.
Sticky.
Well, Mr. Madsen had a house on this property since 1995. He originally bought the property to mitigate a wetland area that he had dug on another piece of land. And so after he started the wetland mitigation, he decided to build a house and, began operating these businesses, the septic system installation business, kind of a black dirt excavating business, and then this garage door repair business. He has indicated to me that, he's starting to phase things out. He's thinking about sort of the next chapter in his life, so he doesn't know how long he's going to continue. His septic system installation license expires the end of this year, so that will be the end of that. And may continue with the other two, the dirt business. He gets a lot of compost from Elk River, mixes it or, thank you, Dan. Buys black dirt, sells black dirt, hauls, does trucking for some people, and then this garage door repair. So in talking in detail to Mr. Madsen, because of the sort of limited term of these businesses, we were discussing establishing an end date in 3 years. And by doing that, was somewhat of a trade-off. I mean, he does have an outdoor storage area that would typically need to be screened. He's set back quite a distance from the road. He's got natural vegetation and the building which hides some of it. But in lieu of, planting a large number of trees or building an expensive fence, if this business is not, anticipated to be long-term, I felt that it was a reasonable idea to establish an end date to the interim use permits, which we don't typically do, but which we are allowed to do under the terms of our ordinance. And then after that 3-year period, if he wishes to continue one or more of these businesses, he's more than welcome to come forward and approach the city council again. So, that was the route I went. We can discuss it, and if you have any different feelings, please, voice those. With regard to the mining, he is not going to continue any mining. It's too expensive to dig wetlands and mitigate those elsewhere and obtain the necessary permits from the Army Corps and the state and the local agencies. So the mining's just gonna go away. The pond there is gonna stay like it is. And he has agreed to allow the city to revoke the CUP. We have a very strong case for revoking the CUP because the CUP listed the number of cubic yards that could be mined out of the property. And we have documentation which shows that he exceeded that yardage and hasn't, needed to renew the annual permit the last couple of years anyway. So with all the evidence put together in those findings, the city attorney did review those and has concurred with that recommendation. So with that, would open it up for discussion.
Does Mr. Mattson have anything to add or say here at this time?
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, do you have anything to add or to say about your operation?
No, not necessarily, I guess.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the clerk if she's sent the legal publications out and mailings.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there anybody in the public who'd like to make any comments here about this, these four items that I read earlier here? Seeing there's no discussion, what about, is anybody in the planning and zoning have anything to say here about this? The way I understand it, Liz,
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, he plans on working under this for 3 years more, then he's gonna phase out unless he comes in and applies for a permit.
Correct. So he has 3 years to continue operating. I put all the businesses under one IUP. I was initially going to separate them, but then when I learned the septic system license expired at the end of this year, and there's really nothing, I guess, with the garage door business, what I'm trying to say is there's no outside storage or anything external that is really alarming as a home business. So I decided to just put all three of these together in one IUP, good for the 3-year period. And then at that time, it either goes away or he decides what portion of it, if any, he would like to continue. So, yes, it's specific to December 31st, 2019 for the end of the septic business, and then July 31st of 2022 for the other two operations. And the hours of operation indicated are 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. He complies with the number of employees. He just hires people part-time to help him if he needs it. And I feel like we have been very specific in the findings, indicating no mining, no digging of ponds, no wetland impacts, no removal of natural materials. And then number 5 is specific in talking about maintaining existing tree and ground cover, preserving that to the extent possible, So the amount of open ground that is not currently stabilized by established vegetation may not be increased. So he always has a stockpile or several stockpiles of material, namely, dirt that isn't covered in grass, so, but he's a good distance from the wetland, and the existing vegetation serves as a filter for that, any runoff or any sedimentation. So what he's got there is legal under our wetland ordinance. So let me know if there's any questions or comments.
Okay, I'll open it up for the planning and zoning again. They got any questions, any comments? Well, I have one. Is everything been settled up with the city as far as the reimbursement for the amount of dirt that was removed?
Well, yeah, he indicated at the previous meeting that there was a period of time where the city mistakenly or the township didn't keep track or follow up on obtaining records. So they agreed on what I believe was $500, right?
I paid $500 a year for quite a few years.
Okay.
So there's really no way to go back and do that. He hasn't taken much, if any, in the last 2 years, so. I don't know if you have any other thoughts or recommendations on it, but in looking at the file, I mean, they're just, records weren't, maybe up to where they should have been, and, I was told by the city attorney too, there really is no permit that the city can issue. We call it renewing a permit annually, but there is no such thing. You can't renew an IUP or a CUP annually unless you come before the city council, and that wasn't done. So it was more or less a $100 fee that the city asked for to cover administrative costs or whatever over these number of years. But nonetheless, the table in the document has added up all the yardage taken out of there that was recorded. And it's very clear that, it exceeded what was allowed, so.
Yeah, but I hauled dirt from across the street, hauled all the clay over in this field, that's still at my house. So I mean, a lot of the dirt that's there wasn't there originally.
Right.
I hauled it in, and then, I just got it. Called for a guy that wants 25 loads, so, that'll be in the next couple weeks. But primarily it's material that I hauled in. I haven't dug any dirt in years. And you can see that by all of the sides of the pond and stuff, and there's all kinds of vegetation there.
Does the planning and zoning have any other things they don't want to bring up this time? I will make a comment as far as keeping his equipment stuff hid. I can't see it when I drive by there, except when I looked at the aerials that we looked at, you could see it there, but otherwise, from visibility from the road, you can't see it. And I don't think the neighbors here tonight either, he's not complaining about it or anything, so I can see why at this time, and he's going out of business just in a couple of years, why you would have to have fencing or anything around there, because.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, there are no known complaints that the city's ever gotten that I am aware of, or that were documented. So there's really just open land to the south and west of him, and then one house to the east. So.
Again, I'm going to ask the committee if there's any questions they want to ask here. This is our opportunity.
So they asked us to move forward with the extended home business interim use permit for a period of 3 years.
Correct. And then we'll have a separate motion to revoke the CUP.
Again, I'll ask the audience if there's anybody out there that wants to address this at this time. It's their last chance. Seeing none, what we're gonna do is close the public hearing. It's closed. Now we're gonna, on these items, we're gonna make our recommendations. There's two things we're gonna have to vote on, the revoke, the permit and also.
Mr. Chair?
3 permits, yes.
3 things. Page 6.
Page 6.
Page 6 of the report or of the?
Planning report.
Planning report, okay.
I don't have it.
Recommended actions on the bottom of page 6 of the planning report.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's 3 things we can do with this here. We can, motion to deny, motion to approve.
You're denying the mining permit. We have to move to formally withdraw the mining permit. That's the first thing.
You think
Second is the IUP, and third is the revocation of the CUP.
The former mining permit.
Oh, okay.
That's what that is.
We need a motion in for the revoking of the,
For all 3, we need separate motions.
Separate motions. So
Yes.
First thing is on the mining permit.
revoke it then, okay? We need a motion then, to revoke the,
Well, because he applied for a mining permit and it wasn't withdrawn and we're not approving it, we need to officially deny it so that it is not automatically approved. We don't want to automatically approve it without reviewing it, and that's what the law says. So we need a motion to deny the mining permit application.
First, let's just go with that first. So
Okay,
So I'll make the motion to deny the application for the IUP for the mining operations.
okay,
okay.
great.
Commissioner Alters made the motion.
second that.
Okay. Commissioner,
Schiller?
Schiller, I still have trouble reading. Schiller seconded. Do we have any further discussion on that? On the revoking of the mining permit? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote. All for it, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we're gonna work on the other 3 permits, right?
Well, right, just
One permit for multiple items.
1 permit for all 3 items, okay?
Right, right.
Okay. Do we have someone that'd like to make the motion?
A motion to approve all 3 of these interim use permits for the 3-year period ending on July 31st of 2022.
Okay. Commissioner Schiller made the motion. Did somebody second that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Pergel seconded it.
The chair, just to clarify, the one expires on 31st of this year.
That's when its license expires though also.
Yes.
Right. Okay,
So 2 are good for July of 2020,
22.
2022, and then the septic business is done at the end of this year.
Correct.
Correct.
right.
Okay.
We have any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just want to ask the deputy clerk, do you have a resolution number, or no resolution number?
I didn't make a resolution.
No, I drafted one, but sorry, I didn't, so I have a blank there. I was wondering if you knew what number it was or not.
I'm sorry, I did not make it.
That's okay. We'll just read, you can just read the title, and refer to it that way.
50-something, I think.
Okay,
52 was the one we did at the previous meeting.
Okay, so it'd be 53.
oh, good, okay.
Okay. Will somebody make a motion to close this public hearing?
No, yeah, one more.
Revocation of the
Oh, we'll go to the
93
next public hearing. right?
conditional
No,
use.
we gotta,
Oh, not yet.
we need a motion for the to revoke the 1993 CUP.
Okay.
So,
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to revoke that,
now we got-
revoke the conditional use permit for the
And there is a resolution, not certain of the number, but
1993 conditional use permit?
By revoking that permit by adopting resolution 2019-53 regarding 8480 and 8570 Norris Lake Road.
So much fun.
Somebody like to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to revoke the 1993 conditional use permit of the properties Liz outlined.
All right,
I'll second that.
Commissioner Oliver made it, Commissioner Scheller seconded it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay,
Thank you. That's it. I will give you a call, Tracy. Thank you.
okay, we'll open the next public hearing, and it's an ordinance amended 2019-2 to City Code Sections 11-5-3 to add artificial brick or concrete masonry units having brick-like appearance as a grade A building material. This is a change in the ordinance. The city's, it's already been to the council, and the council's came up with these recommendations here. So it's just a matter of a public hearing for people to be able to have input in it. And so we'll turn it back over to our planner Stockman.
Yes, the council had discussed this change a while back, and we are just going through the formal motion of the hearing, which is required for any zoning ordinance amendment. So in addition to natural brick, we're also allowing the faux brick, or what can be called custom masonry units, having a brick-like appearance. So the grade A products would be the brick, the CMU brick, the natural or artificial stone, or glass. So, additionally, we were clarifying the use of Galvalume. If you recall, we had a recent application which utilized the material Galvalume, which looks like galvanized, but is a much longer lived material. It's clear coated, sometimes painted, and is a high quality material provided it is used with like a standing seam design with hidden fasteners, and special precautions are exercised when using it with animals because of the high ammonia content in animal urine and or around concrete or masonry products. So what we've done is we've allowed Galvalume in certain situations. If it's used on an industrial building, the roof pitch has to be 312 or less. Anything greater than 312 must have a painted finish. All the wall surfaces of industrial buildings or any home that utilizes some form of metal has to be finished or painted metal. And that is the summary for our ordinance changes.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the public if they got any comments to make about this. Seeing none, what about the planning and zoning? Do you have any additions that you'd like to see in there, or any other changes? If not, yeah, go ahead.
We're talking about not allowing Galbaloo.
So, no, we did allow galvalume for roofs only. Galvalume is going in on the new storage buildings over here off of Viking. Those are lower than the 312, or might be at the 312 pitch, I don't remember, it is 312, okay. And, so we allowed them in that situation. But anything greater than that, where we would have more visibility of the roof, the council was recommending, or, you know, recommending that we do the painted finishes.
And then put in there so that the clarification that it can't be used in conjunction with animals, because it does not hold up to the ammonia, and does not hold up to masonry.
Contact with masonry products.
It's allowed under prescribed usages. And the other one was the custom masonry units. So if you've got a panel of brick that you're securing, that's never been a Class A surface before, but we are allowing that. So we've had these discussions previously, but in order to change the ordinance, we have to go through the public hearing process.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
And just for the record, both staff and many council members had done a lot of research on the product before we brought it to council for discussion. And, it was good that these things came out about the kind of the limited uses, and new materials are developed over the years, and things are, some are done away with, so things change, so it's good to keep up with the times so that we're allowing our developers and our property owners options when they come to build. And now then.
okay, again, I'll ask if there's anybody in the crowd that wants to address this, has any comments to make? Seeing none, if there's no more discussion, we'll just close the public hearing.
Yep.
Now we'll act upon it. Somebody want to make a motion? Go ahead, Commissioner Burrow.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the city ordinance for building exterior, what do we call that?
Building material
Thank you,
changes.
exterior building materials, thank you. Yep.
Do we have a second to this?
Second.
Commissioner Wagner, seconded it. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the next item on our agenda is for discussion is a request by Lance Nelson of Homeward Bound USA Incorporated to consider a concept plan for an 8-lot single-family residential subdivision at 73 Pinnaker Road, pin number 09-33-25-14-001. And so at this time, do we is the applicant here?
Yeah, we have two members here, Mr. Lance Nelson and Peter Hagan.
Okay. You want to add something here?
Sure, we'll just
Hunter?
briefly show the two concept plans that were submitted. We submitted, the one shown as Exhibit C here. And it had one outlet for future extension to the west. There is some subdividable land to the west and south of here. Talked in detail with the city engineer about, sort of the safety of the current Pinnaker Road and the way it meets Norris Lake Road. So part of the goal here was to realign that intersection to the extent we could without infringing too much upon, their 40 acres and make that a safer intersection. The main flow of traffic long-term is going to continue through the subdivision and then to the west. And so in looking at the overall layout for the region, the engineer's office had put together this graphic showing that there's some developable land to the south of the property and then also to the west, so that somehow we had to allow extension of a future street or cul-de-sac to the south and then butt up to the western property line as they had originally shown. So they're currently showing 8 lots. This was the sort of the revised concept based on what the city engineer had recommended, and they were very gracious to comply with that. I did note a few setback issues or kind of lot size issues, that some of which I think can be easily resolved just by shifting lot lines to the south here. We allow 150 feet of frontage on a public road, but we still need 300 feet at the building setback line. That's the current ordinance requirement. And some of the lots don't have quite the depth that they need. Now, granted, they are kind of squeezed here by a large wetland on the east side and then this other large wetland on the west. So this does get a little tight in here. And there's an existing home here, a smaller home, that may be saved, may not be. I guess either way I'm fine with it. It would, become a legally non-conforming use in terms of setback if we left it in this configuration. But the setback, once you subtract your 120 feet from the center line here, and then you also have a required setback from the wetland, it really doesn't leave you a lot of buildable area. So, I don't know, one way or another, we have to look at that, and then when you add up the 8 lots, we don't average 5 acres like the ordinance requires, so I'm thinking we need to go down to 7 lots to meet that overall 5-acre average. And maybe, I don't know, maybe what we do is we, squeeze, or we have just one lot on this side on the west, and or even just leave that house by itself on a lot and then have all the newer lots kind of looking across at that wetland. This one's fine, I think, on the corner here. It meets the requirements anyway. So I think just tweaking it a little. And I did mention, the other thing to consider would be possible, application of a variance for lot width if we had to, because we are taking a little bit of land here that doesn't, becomes unusable to them once we realign Pinnaker Road. So just looking for a little feedback and what your thoughts are on the overall scheme. It is really nice when our city engineer can show us something like this and how it fits into the regional, transportation plan. Because we have many situations now where we've kind of dead-ended some property owners and they're not able to utilize their land to the full extent, so this is good, and then the ultimate, you know, so I was saying how this through street would kind of be the east-west, corridor. And we could even curve the street here to be, you know, more of a through street, and then the cul-de-sac, tees off of that. So there's a little tweaking to do, but I think it, you know, for sure, one way or another, I believe we could achieve 7 lots. So I would open it up for discussion at this point.
I've got a question. Why we got 2 approaches off of Pinnaker Road?
We don't.
Yeah, on this map here,
There's a
you
preferred
show,
and a,
Which concept are you looking at?
well, that would be Exhibit D.
D, no, see, Pinnaker would be vacated here, Dale, can you look up at the drawing? Pinnaker would be vacated right here,
Oh, okay.
see, and then it would be realigned to meet with
Oh,
this new road.
Well, they have to come way down there before they come to that stop sign.
Well, it's not that far, I mean, but see, it's safer to have a 90-degree intersection, and that's what they're trying to achieve, and then they get a little stacking distance here when people are turning out onto Norris Lake. See, Pinnaker doesn't meet Norris Lake in a 90-degree fashion, and that's part of what makes it dangerous, because you don't have proper visibility on the curve there. So by doing that with this new road and then realigning Pinnaker, it's a much safer intersection. So part of the existing Pinnaker would be vacated right here. That's, I think, what you were confused about.
What about that little pie piece of property in there? Where's that gonna go?
Yeah, that would just be an outlot or something that it's not usable, it's not developable.
I'm still confused. You're saying there's not gonna be 2 accesses there. That one's gonna be eliminated, the first one up there.
Right here, that would be vacated.
Okay, and then where are you gonna come, where are you
So
gonna,
if you're coming down Pinnaker, you go down here,
and then go up?
and then you have to turn and go up to Norris Lake. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's just slightly farther, but it's a lot safer.
Would that be added onto somebody else's lot then, that little pie shape in it?
It could be, yeah, they could sell it to the adjacent landowner or something, but with all the setbacks, I mean, it would be like a 3-sided lot there. And this is wetland up in here, so I'm not sure that it's usable. It may just become a ponding area or something. I don't know, or just even, you know, to maintain vegetation there might be nice.
Can you take Pinnaker to the north instead of to the south? That other triangle's already unusable?
Well, yeah, if you're dealing with wetland mitigation though, and
That's
then
pretty wet in there.
and then we'd be involving another property owner, which, you know, which we're not sure. I did suggest that, or we did talk about that, like clipping this corner
Right.
and buying this from,
Come across that way, it doesn't.
But that's a lot of fill would have to go in there. That's pretty low in there.
yeah, it's pretty low in there, and then we still sort of have the problem, see, about where this road would come up, because then this road would have to come way up here, and then they're, you know, they're mitigating too, so, yeah, I don't know, it's a tough site, but it,
Would you have 2 stop signs in there, wouldn't you?
initially, yeah, I don't know, you might not need it if it's just these, whatever, 7 lots, but that would be up to the city engineer, I guess. But you definitely, yeah, have a stop sign at Norris Lake like there is.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Since there's an existing house on one of these lots that has been demarcated, is there a way to say that because that's an existing house, that that particular lot doesn't have to be 5 acres?
Well, they can all be they all have the potential of being 2.5 as long as we have the 5-acre average. But, no, we for sure have to meet the lot minimum of 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
And if we were to do that on the lot that the house is on, does that make more space for the other lots? Or does that solve the problem of the setback issue?
Not right here. You know, this is kind of where it's squeezed. And then, well, your engineer had a pond shown there too. We do need a stormwater pond somewhere. And I mean, I think kind of where this is squeezed to, you know, it's not a bad spot, but then we just don't have quite enough upland area for, you know, being that we're on septic and well, we have to have that primary and that backup septic site, and it just gets tough. You know, everybody in now then wants an accessory building too, so it really is a nice thing to, a saleable thing to, you know, show people they have that opportunity. So, I don't know, it's just, I don't think it would pay, you know, to mitigate, but I don't know, my initial thought would be, what if, you know, you take that house out and we push the road more along this wetland, and then we have all of our lots somehow on the other side. I don't know.
If you did that, would that then increase it to 8 lots, or would it still be 7?
Well, with the amount of wetland you have, I don't think you can get 8 and still have your average. Just because you're, with that 300-foot lot width and lot depth, that's what, you know, we really need to provide that usable area, you know. Because it's really only about an acre of upland, but acre and a half that we need, but it's, we've made mistakes in the past where we've had lots that are mostly wetland, and it kind of comes back to bite us, and people come and ask for variances, and so.
Well, Liz, the way it looks to me, go with 7 lots, which lot would you be eliminating then?
Well, I think something over here doesn't work to me, you know.
You can't make it,
Well, that would be tempting, like she's saying there, just to pull that, if you're gonna eliminate this, that lot,
Yeah.
just pull the road in there closer to it, just to give the other lots more space.
See,
Just
I think here,
just-
if you curve the road, see, you can go, we can take you down on a curved road, you know, when you're getting wider as you go back. If you've got the frontage up here, you're getting wider as you go back, so, I don't know, I think we could get another lot down here somewhere if we take, you know, that one.
Mr. Chair,
yes, Commissioner.
just going in, obviously this discussion, but we all know that corner for Pinnaker meets North Lake Road is super low, and I don't see why we shouldn't entertain the idea and at least talk to that homeowner that's on the north side of Pinnaker, or the landowner there, and see if they would entertain having the road turn out that direction, because then it wouldn't eat into this person's divisible, buildable land. Because that would also then put that intersection more on the curve versus at the start of the curve. A little more visible for people coming from both directions. Then the road for this subdivision that we're talking about can then come more over to the east and then cut through more in a more in a curved fashion back to what we're looking at for a preliminary or a future existing road on exhibit, what is that, F. So, I mean, yes, it sounds like a lot of work and footwork, but the road, changing the road location entering onto Norris Lake Road would also help with not taking away from buildable land right here. yes, it's a little more expensive to put the road in there, but I think it also would be a great location too for it.
Yeah, we may gain a lot up here, or at least provide a little more usable area for this lot. It might be worth a look, I mean,
It's a dead corner for that landowner too, so
That's what I'm saying.
it would be a good spot for it to sweep out at anyways. They can't use that corner anyways.
well, it's worth a look, yeah, if they're willing to try to make contact, we could, you know, well, that
And yes,
information
the
is,
seven lots is probably the absolute bare minimum, because we're not dealing with 40.1 acres, we're dealing with 38.82 acres. And to be, in all fairness, for the entire city-wide, 5 acres is the minimum, and 8 divided by 38 is not 5, it's less than 5, so.
right, but the point, well, yeah, in your defense, that is definitely true. We do allow counting to the center of the road for density purposes, but mostly I think it's the wetland that just limits, you know, the number of lots on this
Yes.
one.
And as a sales standpoint, that would be very hindering.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there's one thing to consider. If you go north through the neighboring property, you still have to get out of this development. There still has to be a road that comes back to Pinnaker and goes back to Norris. So there
Right,
still is, you're still gonna lose the corner of this property one way or the other.
Yeah, see, this road would have to curve up into a road here.
I think what you
but
just,
maybe-
I think what you just did with your cursor by following it towards the west
Uh-huh.
would then be more just straight up.
Like that,
Yeah. It wouldn't curve back towards the west, it would just
You
follow
still have to
itself.
have some staging area back from
Yep.
Norris though.
I think it would work.
well,
Statement.
sure.
Is it okay if I go over and finance some stuff up there? So this is how I'm seeing this. This is, if everybody's kind of okay with this, I'll talk to our site plan developer. I think this should probably come down here, and this should be like a pie-shaped lot down here. That would also give these ones more space, like you were just talking about, Liz.
Uh-huh, the
right?
width, right.
These two. And then I would get rid of, like, with all due respect, I think we kind of have to go up here. It just seems like it's gonna be more feasible. Plus, if we have to get another landowner involved, it just might get a little bit sticky, I don't know.
You know, yeah.
But I don't know. Not that I'm not open to that,
Yeah.
because I would be, obviously. And then as far as feasibly, like for our financials, we need to keep this house, just to make it all work.
Oh, okay,
Just so everybody knows. So there's no plan to demolish that
okay,
property. So
okay.
those are
At first
some
you
of
were a little maybe on the fence.
the- Yeah, and now that I've been looking closer on all the numbers, I think it just makes sense to keep it.
Okay, that's fine.
Just
Yeah, that's
do like
fine. I
a
mean,
remodel.
somebody would be able to add on to it if they wanted toward the back or to the sides.
And there should be, I mean, that's a 7-acre parcel right now. There should be plenty of room to do like one of those outbuildings like you were talking about, Liz. So,
Yeah, back in here, sure.
I mean, if all that makes sense, then maybe that's the conversation we should have with land for. Just something like that, stretching those down, make them a little wider, bringing this down here, and then bringing the road up like,
Curve it here.
I don't know who said that, I thought that was a good idea, of just curving that up.
Yeah, this is more the thoroughfare and then, yeah, I think we could maybe,
Because then, and actually then this lot would end up being really big. Because it would basically encompass everything on this side of that road. But that's okay.
and that's
Just That guy,
okay.
whoever has that little cabin will have a nice big lot.
Loves the outdoors,
Owns a
yeah.
nice pond.
Yep.
Well, the other thing to note is that the cul-de-sac doesn't necessarily have to come out right through here. In other words, you could run a cul-de-sac down the side here or something too. So it doesn't have to come right
Do we
here.
have to have a cul-de-sac here?
You
Can
do
we
have to have,
eliminate that and just go up here and keep this as a pie shape down here?
well, you do have to have some sort of access. Now, I mean, the thing is, one thing to talk about is there would only be, I believe, one lot here, 2 at the very most. I mean, if I knew if it was only one lot, we could almost do it with a, you know, a private or a 33-foot access. But I don't know for sure. I mean, if we want to investigate this a little more, so we knew how, you know, how many lots are achievable down there, that might help us decide what to do. Because if you don't have to put a whole cul-de-sac in for one lot, I mean, you know, then we could go with,
Driveway at that one.
with a single, 33-foot driveway.
Really expensive driveway.
Yeah, but then you could go right down your property line
Right.
and to access that next potential piece of land. Then it would be would it be an easement and a flag lot at that point, Liz, or?
Yeah, just so the applicants know, if we did, the only way we would allow a 33-foot access, or what we call a flag lot, would be by conditional use permit, so it'd be a little more application fees, but, you know, it might be, certainly, I guess, in my mind, would be worth it if all you're gonna get is one lot down here anyway. You know, it may be worth having Landform look at that wetland boundary, when they're out there next.
Is that your guys' property too?
What's that?
No, that's not their land, they have to get permission, but, or just use, well, I think this is from the National Wetlands Inventory or something. This is fairly accurate. I mean, sometimes the wetlands are a little more extensive than shown on here. Well, they can, we can move forward with some of those thoughts, and they can bring a preliminary plat, and you still have a chance to comment on that, and the preliminary plats require a public hearing, so the neighbors would be able to chime in as well.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, Mayor, yes.
We still need a place to turn trucks around, though. If you're gonna put a flag
Oh,
lot
true.
on it, we've gotta be
True.
able to turn fire trucks and garbage trucks and school buses around, so.
Well, there's always a temporary cul-de-sac at the dead ends. So if the street were to curve here and you have a turnaround, that's true, yes.
And down to the south there too, if you're talking about a 33-foot to a possible lot there, we still have to be able to turn the trucks around.
Yep. I mean, that might be a situation where you plat the 33 feet as an outlot. And if and when this property owner, you know, were to develop, then they could buy that or something, but yeah, we can look at that a little closer. And there is a house here too, but he could maybe get a lot, see, up in here, and then this is an existing parcel.
Well, if we have to have that come down like that, maybe the solution for us to make this more feasible is to approach that landowner, that neighbor, and see if he just would want to purchase that little spot there.
Yeah, possibly you could do that and then just add it to your plat. Yeah, that might make some sense.
If you might want that, because then he would ensure that nobody would be close, because that house is really pretty close to that, to the lot line.
Well, it's actually this guy way down here
No,
that
No,
owns.
he's talking about the guy right on the,
Oh,
right
this.
There's
there.
a house right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
there's a
there.
house there,
buying that.
but he
pie-shaped
doesn't own
piece.
this piece
No,
though.
he wasn't,
Right.
no, he wasn't talking,
But you're talking about that guy buying that little pie shape.
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, that
Makes
might help him and it might help us too.
Oh, this here. Gotcha. Yeah, that'd be a good investment. He'd sell it when he moves. Okay. Well, those are all good ideas. Any other thoughts?
So a summary of next steps here.
That'd be great.
That was good.
You're so good at
Feel free,
summarizing,
yes.
Jason, that I was, I thought you were gonna do it.
So you guys are gonna look at moving this lower lot. If you go back a page,
Oh, sorry, yes. So realigning lot lines on
it's
the
gonna
east.
lower this, that lot down so that we can achieve the minimum width on the other 2 or 3 lots.
Right,
And then we're gonna at least investigate what we need to do with that road in that lower corridor. Can that be a 33-foot road?
yeah.
You guys are gonna maybe check with the neighbors to the south and then the neighbor to the west as well. See if something makes sense there. And then I think what I heard is it's 7 lots, not 8, because they gotta meet the 5-acre minimum average. And the existing house stays.
Existing house stays. And just address the setback issues on the east side of the road here. One thing that just came to my mind too that might be possible is, platting even just an outlot which could be smaller than 2.5 acres that you would sell to the adjacent landowner. And then that would open up possibly a little more space for the other lots.
Right.
So if it's an outlot platted that way, then you could sell that to the adjacent
It
land.
would be adding into.
Because then he would have to combine, right? Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Okay.
The other, I have one more question. Would this process become much simpler if we decided to just do this until like, say, 3 lots?
Well, it's the difference between a minor subdivision and a plat, yes. But, I mean, I don't know how you're gonna get 3 lots in here without a public street. Because you don't have a lot of frontage, see, you don't have enough frontage. So you're gonna have to create your own frontage anyway.
That's what I was looking at too, is we're probably still gonna have to run that road all the way back anyway, so then it probably would become not financially feasible. But I just wanted to ask the question, just out of curiosity.
Does that road need to be a bituminous road? With
Yes, it needs to be bituminous.
With 3 lots, you'd have just a cul-de-sac, you wouldn't have to run the road all the way back.
True, but what they could do, see, is preliminary plat it all, and you can final plat lots. You could do 3 for starters, and then,
But the road layout's gonna be
You know.
different if it's 3 versus 7, right?
Oh, I'm sorry?
The road layout will probably be different if it's 3 versus 7.
Probably, yeah. I mean, everything would look different. I'm thinking, hoping that it wouldn't be quite as extensive of a road in there.
About the only thing I can see is that if you wanted to eliminate doing a road, you're gonna end up at 2 lots. Cause,
So we'd have one buildable lot and then the existing.
yep, without doing
But
a
then we
road.
still- So then we just need a driveway, right? There's actually an opening on the other side. So then.
over here, you mean? Oh,
We
to
wouldn't
get
be
through.
helping the city much then, because, but, I mean, obviously we gotta do what's right for us too.
But
So
any
you
more
got
than 2,
options.
you're probably gonna put in a road, so you might as well max it out.
Yeah. Well, I know in talking to Liz, it sounds like there's a lot of people looking for lots. And
There are.
That's why we came up in the first place. So I'd like to continue on with what we're doing. I just wanted to ask some questions.
Yeah, no problem.
Sure, we
Try to
could,
figure out what the best path.
scenario is, right? You know, you still have to proceed through all the surveying and the wetland delineation, you know, so
A lot of the same costs, right?
it comes down to the road cost, balancing out with your lot sales, and then, you know, the recording of a plat is a little more money, but not, you know, probably not gonna break the bank there. All right, well, thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Well, that is it.
You got anything else, Liz?
No, nothing else?
Okay, somebody wants to make
I'll
a
make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second it.
Mr. Merrill, Mr. Schiller. Second it. All in favor, say aye.
You say it in your sleep tonight.